All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about natural pest control today, but probably not in the way you're thinking. See, this isn't just about swapping one spray bottle for another. This is about a whole new way of looking at your garden. It's a total mindset shift from fighting nature to actually working with it.
I mean, this is what we're all after, right? A garden that's just bursting with life, totally lush and healthy. But look closer. It's not just the plants. It's a whole tiny world working together. And believe me, this isn't some far-off dream. This is exactly what happens when you let nature find its own balance.
So I gotta ask you, does your garden ever feel like a war zone? Are you constantly out there, armed and ready, just waiting to wage war on the next bug you see? If you're nodding along right now, don't worry, you are definitely not alone. And this right here, this is why. This is the old way of thinking, the conventional approach. It is all about reaction. You see a pest, you panic, you grab a chemical, and you just nuke the area. It's this exhausting cycle, right? You're always just fighting fires instead of figuring out why they started in the first place. And that brings us to the most important part of this whole conversation. It's this shift in your role. You've got to go from being a garden warrior who's always fighting to a garden steward. A steward doesn't declare war on their own backyard. No, they cultivate it, they nurture it, they help guide it back to the balanced state it wants to be in. So let's dig into this new philosophy, how we actually transform that garden from a battlefield into a thriving, balanced ecosystem. You see, when you strip it all down, natural pest control is just that. It's the simple idea of working with nature. The whole goal is to help create a garden that is so healthy, so full of life, that it basically takes care of itself. The pests are still there, but they're kept in check by all their natural enemies you've invited to the party. And this table here, it just lays it out perfectly. You see the pattern, right? Every single point is about shifting from being reactive to being proactive. It's about prevention, not just reaction. It's about building a diverse, bustling community of plants instead of a sterile, boring one. And this is a big one. It's about accepting a little bit of imperfection. A few holes on a leaf, that's not failure. That's just a sign that you're feeding the good bugs who are protecting everything else. All right, so where do we start? We start by building our garden's defenses. Because honestly, the best pest control is making sure pests don't want to show up in the first place. Think of these as your basic good housekeeping rules for the garden. Crop rotation completely messes with pests who are just waiting in the soil for their favorite food to show up again. Companion planting, well, that's like creating a buddy system for your plants. And simple sanitation, just cleaning up dead leaves and debris, is like kicking pests out of their cozy little homes. Companion planting is such a cool example of this in action. I mean, planting basil next to your tomatoes, its strong smell can actually help hide the tomatoes from hornworms. Same thing with rosemary and cabbage. The rosemary scent can confuse the heck out of cabbage moths. It's so simple, but so smart. And you know what? Sometimes the easiest solution is the most hands-on. These are your mechanical controls, your physical tactics. A floating row cover is basically a force field for your veggies. Hand-picking big old tomato hornworms? So satisfying, and it works. And for tiny little guys like aphids, a sharp blast of water is often all you need to send them packing. Okay, so you've got your defenses up. Now comes the really fun part. It's time to recruit your garden's very own personal security team. This is where we stop just defending and start actively inviting in nature's best helpers. First up, we've got the predators. These are your frontline soldiers, your hunters. We're talking about ladybugs, and especially their larvae, which look like tiny alligators and are just ferocious aphid eaters. They actively hunt down and gobble up pests. Then things get a little more sci-fi. You've got the parasitoids. These are usually teeny tiny wasps, they don't sting people, that have a very specific mission. They lay their eggs inside a pest, like a caterpillar. Then the wasp larvae hatch and, well, eat the host from the inside out. Yeah, it's kind of gruesome, but it is incredibly effective. And finally, you have the invisible army, the pathogens. These are microscopic good guys, beneficial bacteria and fungi in the soil that can infect and take out specific pests without harming anything else. They're your microscopic warriors. And here they are, the whole dream team. You've got your predators, your parasitoids, and your pathogens all working together. It's like having multiple layers of security.
You're not just relying on one thing, you're cultivating an entire team of allies to protect your plants.
And this quote, this really just sums it all up, doesn't it? It's a complete change in perspective. Your main job isn't to kill things. Your main job is to create a habitat, to build a welcoming home for all the good guys. Okay, but what if a pest problem really starts to get out of control, even with all your hard work? Well, that's when we go to the very top of the pyramid. We start using sprays, but we use them as a surgical tool, not a blunt weapon. These are your options of last resort. Things like neem oil, which messes with insect hormones, or insecticidal soap, which works on soft body pests. But the most important thing on this slide is that note at the bottom. Always apply these in the evening. Why? Because the bees and our other pollinators have all gone home for the night. This simple step protects them from harm. So with all these tools and ideas, how do you actually put it into practice day to day? Well, that's where this simple 4-step action plan called Integrated Pest Management, or IPM, comes in. It's your guide for making smart choices. Let's just walk through it real quick. Step 1. Know who you're dealing with. Is that bug actually a problem, or is it a good guy? Step 2. Set your threshold. How much damage is okay before you need to step in? Remember, a little damage is fine. Step 3. Monitor. A quick 5-minute walk through the garden every day will help you catch problems when they're small. And finally, step 4, if you have to act, always start with the least toxic option first. And this is your cheat sheet. Think of it like a ladder. You always start on the very bottom rung, like just picking the bug off by hand. You only climb up to the next rung, like using a spray, if the lower level tactics don't work. It's a system that keeps you from overreacting. So the big question, does all this actually work? Well, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got the old way, a chemical bomb that kills everything in its path, good and bad. And on the right, you have a ladybug, a precision-guided missile that only takes out the aphids. It's not just effective, it's smarter, it's targeted. And that really brings us to the final, most important idea. The goal was never to have a sterile, bug-free garden. That's not natural, and frankly, it's not possible. The real goal is a balanced garden. So the question you should be asking yourself isn't, how do I kill everything? It's, how can I invite more life, more allies, and more balance into this space?